Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to this Zoom session. My name is Huli Ho, a volunteer conducting IT classes in library at Harbourfront. At the moment, we have converted these classes using Zoom online. Now, uh, notes for this session is available in my blog. That is my blog address. So if you want a soft copy before the lesson, normally I post it a few days before the event. You can go to my blog. At the bottom right-hand corner, there's a word follow. Click on it and submit your email address. So subsequent new posts I do, you will automatically get a soft copy of my notes before the event, like for today. Now, for those past talks that I have done since the circuit breaker, day one of circuit breaker, I have completed, I think, 8 topics. Every topic has 2 parts. Today, we are doing the second part of the event 9. So for the past talks, you can go to my blog, the relevant post. The first line, you will see the word YouTube link. Just click on it. You can get a repeat of my talk for whichever topic you are interested in. Now, today is the second part of how to build your own personal computer. The first part is mainly sharing with you how a computer works, how they calculate, how they give you picture, and how they process information. Today, we will focus on step by step how we actually assemble one after we go to normally Simling in Singapore, but there are other places also to buy the computer parts. So I even have part 3 if you are interested. So far, I have a few of the participants registered, and tomorrow we are going to buy the parts, and coming this weekend, we will install it. Now, computer has many, you can say, functions and objectives and purpose. Even you go to a retail shop, you'll see different prices and all that. So for me, for simplicity, I just classify them into 3 classes. First, I call them the entry level. Entry level are for people who just want to use a desktop instead of a smartphone to do internet surveying, to do sending, receiving emails, or even online purchase or bank transaction and all that. Simple transaction. So entry level. Mid-range are people who want to do more than the entry level. Actually, they are still working. These mid-range people who do this job is still working. So they may have Microsoft Office, or they may have photo editing program, or they may need a lot of demand from images from the video card to give very good pictures, 3D pictures to impress the clients. If you are a retail estate agent, so mid-range is a good model for this group of people. Now, you may have grandchildren who keep on pestering you to buy a game computer. Game computer are the most expensive system. It can range from 2005 to 3000. The reason is because all the components are of the high end. So if you have grandchildren and you want to give them a present, and you really want to give them a present that they realize it's a game computer, because now most of the children are very smart. They know you are giving them not a game computer if they start losing the games to their friends. Okay, a computer system, these are the basic main components. Actually, you have other things also, but inside the casing, these are the main thing. So first we call that a motherboard, where all the chips and components are already connected for you. That means the architecture of the computer system is actually done for you. So all you need to do is to select a processor, we call it a CPU. There are two brands in the market. There may be more, but there are two popular brands in the market. One is called Intel, the other one is called AMD. There are others also, but these are the two common ones if you are doing a personal computer. But from day one, I have stuck with Intel. I'm still happy with it, so I normally recommend Intel. Intel has three prices: i3, i5, and i7. i7 is the most expensive. And the DRAM also depends on what purpose you're using the PC. So for games, you may have to double that. So for normal standard use, 16G is good enough. You can buy one piece of 16G, or you can buy two pieces of 8, because the motherboard has 4 slots. It's up to you to do whatever combination or configuration you want. Now, in the old days, when we talk about C drive, we are talking about a moving drive, a drive that has moving parts. They call that a SATA drive. But nowadays, they have solid state drive. So normally, when we put our operating system, we use the solid state. So I prefer this, you can say, format. There are many formats, but M2 is one format. Very small. After I can show you a photograph of it. And the trouble is, they start with an entry level of 256. You cannot buy 128. So far, I couldn't find one. But don't forget your Windows operating system, I think, is less than 10G. So you just see you are actually over providing. But you can use the spare one for storage also can if you want to. And some people wouldn't like to mix up data and operating system drive. So they introduce another drive. This is the conventional SATA drive. It's not necessary, but if you want for proper security, in case something wrong to your system, you won't disturb your data. So this is a good combination. Use the C, even though you over provide for operating system, or not so important data you can store in C. And the important one, you store in D. Once you have C, the next one is D. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. And you have a video card. Sometimes a motherboard has a video section, and you don't need to buy a video card. But when I say motherboard has a video section, normally it's a very basic function, and you may not be satisfied with the performance. So normally people buy a separate card, and the output is your monitor. Next one is a power unit. You have to convert our Singapore supply of 220 volts AC to DC of 12 volts or 24 volts. And you need a casing to house everything together. And the external component are keyboard, mouse, speaker, thumb drive. Now, you need a thumb drive is because nowadays, nobody, or not popular, I would say, to install a CD drive. Unless you still want to play those old-fashioned movie on CD to your PC system. But now everything is online. So that's why you need a thumb drive to store your installation instruction to install your system. Network adapter, sometimes the motherboard have a section on network adapter, so you don't need to buy the network adapter. But sometimes you want better performance, so you buy a separate one. So network adapter. The reason why you need a network adapter is in your house, you have a broadband system. Normally you have a wireless router, and your wireless router and your desktop may be quite far away, either maybe ground floor and second floor or things like that. So unless you are renovating your house, you can lay a cable to connect the router to your desktop computer. If not, you can use the Wi-Fi wireless system to communicate to the internet. So that's why you need the network adapter. So last but not least is the Windows 10 software. I purposely put the money there is because people tell me, why I need to buy in Singapore that costs $145? I can buy online, only $10 only. Yes, but first of all, who you are talking to in the internet, that is very important. And no doubt it can work. Sometimes it can work, but it may not be able to update. I have no experience on online Microsoft operating system that is not purchased through Microsoft.com. If you buy through Microsoft.com, then maybe it works. Sometimes a PC can do more things than just what I told you. You may need a printer. You may want better sound system because you're playing YouTube a program. You want better sound system too. You can get an external sound system. Or you may want to do Zoom. Then you have to buy a webcam and a mic for the purpose. Or you may want to do some printing, and printing, the printer got many choices. Got inkjet, got laser, got color, got mono, got Wi-Fi. So all this you have to decide what is best for you. And next, you may want to buy a streaming box. Apple TV is a streaming box. Why you need a streaming box is because if you join Netflix, you need somebody who can talk to Netflix server. So a streaming box has the program to talk to Netflix. So with a streaming box, you can subscribe to Netflix, then you have another avenue of content of your choice beside StarHub or Singtel. And also streaming box normally has a lot of free apps like YouTube, TED, Talks and all that. But most of the apps are payable. Or you may have a movie that you can rent for one day to see. So streaming box can do a lot of things to communicate to the server of your choice to get the contents or movie that you want. Now, coming back to the question of building your own computer, decide on which configuration is suitable for your lifestyle. For the group that has registered, I will bring them to Simlim, because down there have a lot of choices of parts. And before we start assembly, for those who are registered, I always tell them to get a Microsoft Outlook account and a Gmail account. Why? Because when you buy a license, Microsoft want to know who is the owner. And in internet, owner is defined by either your mobile number or email address. And what better email address than the owner's server's email address? That means Microsoft Windows 10 belongs to Microsoft. Why you use the Gmail to register it? Why don't you use Microsoft Outlook account to do it? I'm not sure whether you can use Gmail to record. Maybe can, but normally I practice the right way. That means if the product belongs to that company, I use back their account. The reason is because in future, if you change your computer, that OS still belongs to you. You no need to buy another copy. Why? Because you have registered with an email address, Outlook email address, with a password. So you just use it. They detect that it still belongs to you, then they continue installing for you. Why you need a Gmail account is because Gmail provide a lot of free services like Google Search, Google Map, Google Calendar, Google Translate. There are many. So Google definitely want to know who is using my free service. So that is how you declare your ID to them saying that I am using your service. So it's a two-way trade. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Now, just now I told you that normally people don't buy a CD drive anymore. So in the old days, normally they give you an installation disk. So if you use the installation disk, you come home, you assemble everything, you don't have a drive, how do you get your disk information to your computer hard drive? Impossible. So now the trend is you buy a thumb drive. I think the minimum in the market is 16G. Microsoft say 8G is good enough, but you can't buy 8G. So you get a 16G thumb drive, go to Microsoft site, download the installation program, and once you plug it in, automatically they will install it. But there come a time they will ask you for your license code. So where you get the license code? Just now I told you, $145. You pay the shop will give you one code. And the code is confidential to you. I will show you later. Then you need some tools to assemble the parts. This is the Microsoft site to download the installation program. Microsoft.com ENUS software download Windows 10. This download is free, but it cannot give you a successful operating system if you don't have a license. So you still need to get a license to install this software. For those who have no opportunity to do hands-on, this is just a text way of explaining to you the sequence of doing it. So you unbox. Then normally I start with the power unit because that is the most bulky unit. And different casing has different way of installing the SATA disk. It's very challenging to find the solution to do this. The reason is because everybody is trying to save costs to produce one casing for you. So they produce a casing that sometimes you just don't imagine that the hard disk have to install this way. But if you have done a lot of computer assembly, the logic cannot run very far away. It must be certain direction and all that. So this is a very good challenge to find how to install the SATA disk. And the DRAM is very simple, just plug it to the socket. But be careful, after I show you some diagram, what is the right way to do it. And the most sensitive assembly is the CPU. Remember, the CPU and motherboard are the two most expensive items. One CPU costs about $150. So you assemble wrongly, you smash up the socket, the socket or the terminal, you had it. $100 over will just go down in the drain. The other one, the M2 SSD, is a very delicate component, have to handle with care. So it's very hard to describe to you, but if you do it, I can roughly show you why it's so delicate to handle. This one costs about $80 over, not $100 over. Then after everything is assembled, you have to place the motherboard and secure it to the casing. This is also quite challenging if you haven't held a screwdriver before, especially for those who have very thick fingers. If you have small fingers, maybe okay, you can hold a small screw and put it in position, but your thick fingers are a bit difficult, but it can be done. Then after the motherboard is installed, then you install the video card and the adapter card to the motherboard. And the computer casing also has some wiring that you need to connect to the motherboard. Because when you press the on-off switch, the communication of the on-off switch have to go to the motherboard. And the motherboard will tell the computer to wake up and start doing the job. So that wire has to connect to the right place. So there are a few wires. I will show you afterwards also. Connect the CPU and casing fan to the master. The CPU has a fan on top of it, and that fan needs a supply. So you have to know where is the CPU fan supply. It's quite easy to identify if you have done one before. Now, these are the casing wire. Some of them has more, but these are the basic one. The first one is to show you the motherboard is alive. It's a power light. The second one is for you to turn on and turn off the computer. And we call it the power switch. The next one is to reset your system. The hard disk activity is to show you that the hard disk is moving or communicating. Because if you use SSD, there's no moving part, but it's still communicating between maybe the thumb drive to the motherboard or the SSD to the motherboard. So when data flow in two directions, this light will come on. All this give you indication whether your system is working properly or not. Audio, because sometimes they have an audio jack for you to connect your earpiece. So you have to connect to the right place on the motherboard. USB, I think, is straightforward because you have USB thumb drive that you want to communicate with the motherboard, and got others. Now, just now, I told you when you buy the software, they have a sticker. And the sticker, the code is actually blanco off, just to prevent the storekeeper using your code and sell you the part again that the license has been used. So it's a fail-safe coating. So once you rub it, sometimes it's still very hard to see because the O and the Q, the I and the 1. So you know what we do? We use a smartphone, take a picture of it, and then from there we just pinch it to whatever size we want. So that's one way to properly identify the code so that you can enter the code as you install your system. During the installation, there are a few things you have to take note. Location. You remember just how I told you, when you buy online, the software may be already identified that is from Indonesia or from China. So when you put location, Singapore, they know that you didn't buy the software from Singapore. It can still work, but what will happen, I have no guarantee because I haven't have experience of this type of thing. So you remember just now what I say, when you buy something, Like in the old days, we have this DVD player. We say code 1, code 2, code 3. Singapore is code 3. US is code 1. China is code 6 or something like that. So you go to China, buy a movie, code 6, you come to Singapore, you got the player, code 3, you can't play. But people can overcome it by tweaking the hardware and give you all codes and you still can play. So this is the same thing. If you know to tweak and bluff the system that you buy from Indonesia or what, but how do you know it's from Indonesia? You don't know. You mean. So that is one of the trick lah. Now keyboard, some of you may have experienced that when you type the the email, the ad at the right location, I think is the key number 2. You don't come out ad, it come out something else, maybe double apostrophe or whatever it is. The reason is because you choose the wrong keyboard. So normally international will match with the keyboard that you have purchased. Normally, unless you want to try it out and see what happened to your keyboard. It's quite fun if you want to try it out. You can change back later on. So enter the Microsoft license code when you request it. And during the installation, they are updating and they are communication with a Microsoft server. So you make sure that your Wi-Fi network is connected properly with the right password. So at a certain time, they will ask you what network you want to use and what is the password. So these are the things. And normally, Microsoft will give you an offer of Office 360. I recommend not to take it. It's because I'm not sure now they give 30 days or 1 year, because in the old days, they give 1 year. So people start using it, and after 1 year, they forgot. Then they start charging them. Or sometimes it may not work if you don't pay up. So try offer is not free. It just give you a certain period, maybe 30 days. Then after that, you don't pay, then you don't work. You can buy a permanent license one. I think it's $220 you can buy. Microsoft Office, no limit on period. It's forever. And once you put the right ownership email, even you change your computer, you still can transfer your license to the new laptop. Now, after successful installing, testing everything, you are satisfied, motherboard, video card, everything is okay. You have to check for updates. Motherboard depends on what brand you buy. They also got update. The video card also got update. All you need to do is read the box, find the website, and go to the website. They will automatically update for you. Even the adapter also got updates. Depends on which brand and company you buy your component. Go to the website, you can get it. Sometimes you buy a motherboard, they give you a disc. But the trouble is you don't have a reader. So sometimes if you are doing a lot of this, it's good to buy a USB reader. Then with the USB reader, you can use the CD to install it. No need to search from the internet. And even the Windows OS may also have updates. So that's why you need your Wi-Fi connection to your desktop. Normally, after successful installing, I always test a YouTube song, because like that also it tests the connection, it tests the audio department, and it also tests the graphic department. So one shot you test, normally it's okay, then it's okay. And there are some free apps in the internet, like Speed Test, PC Cleaner. You can download and test it. It's very useful app. And if you have followed me through the previous lesson of Windows 10, you will know some of the setting recommendation. You can go back to those talks and look at those setting recommendation. Housekeeping also another talk I have done. You can check the recommendation and you can use it for this new PC you have just installed. And last but not least, you have to do a restore point and a recovery disk. Why you need to do a recovery disk is because down the line, maybe 3 years, 4 years, you have messed up the computer go very slow, or don't even start, or booting very long, then you think that maybe good to reinstall the Windows 10, and recovery disk can do that for you without asking for your license, because you already provided your license, you are the owner, it's still the same PC, everything is still the same. You put this in, everything they'll do for you. I'm not sure how long, I think at least 1 hour if I'm not wrong. So you just put it in, they will do everything, no need to bring to a service center. But once you bring to service center, minimum I think 120 or 180 just to look at your PC. So if you follow this step, remember, recovery disk is only useful if your computer at that moment is working well. Like for example, Windows 10, every year they do an update. And after certain year, they do a major update. So people always ask me, my recovery disk, do I need to redo it? I say yes. If Microsoft do a major update, that means they change the version number or they change something, it's good to reinstall the recovery disk so that your recovery disk is always at the almost latest operating system, updated latest operating system. So you don't just do and forget about it, then 5 years later, you try to recover, you find that your 5 years later, actually the program is outdated already because you never continue to update your recovery disk. These are some of the simple tools. The most important is the first one, use a lot. Second, third, fourth is once in a while. So if you want more challenge, you can do some of this. 1 to 3 require a broadband. Smart speaker got many types. They got internet smart speaker, they got just smart speaker, they got Wi-Fi smart speaker. They do different function. Now the latest is Wi-Fi smart speaker. It has all the local channel. It has all the world station, and it can communicate with your smartphone, even play songs from your smartphone if you have a Wi-Fi smart speaker. Google Smart Home is also nice to play with if you are interested. You can just talk to the lamp and ask the lamp to turn on or turn off. Very convenient at night, especially when you're going upstairs and downstairs and you don't have a two-way switch. Some houses have two-way switches. You don't have. Google Home is a solution. As you walk down the step, you just tell the Google turn on the lamp, or after you leave, you say turn off the lamp. Or you can tell Google, do I play some music? I'm very bored. They will play you some music. Just talk in the air because the speaker is very sensitive. And if you have a multi-story house, you have a guest at the door, you just call the door to open, your guest will come in, you no need to go down. So all these are smart home devices that is available now. For people who want to use Words, Excel, or PowerPoint in whatever way, you have to buy the Office. Or for people who would like to play with pictures, you have to buy a simple editing program. This is just recommendation for those who have just installed the PC. You can read this in the notes. Now, I have an interest group. It's a Facebook interest group. It's a closed group. Now I have about 124 members. So if you are interested to share your information with us, you are welcome to join. Sometimes the question you ask, I also don't know. So what I do, I ask you back. That's how we learn. And sometimes I have people receive a scam, don't know what to do. They WhatsApp me, screenshot the scam to me. I just WhatsApp back. I say, forget it, delete. Don't waste your time. So that is how we work. It's better than an antivirus program, because antivirus program, you don't pay the subscription, you don't get the update. Sometimes people even ask me a M&E problem. Now, if you are new to me, please don't just go to Facebook, click this group and just say join Mary Tan. I don't know who is Mary Tan. Whether Mary Tan is a man or a girl, I don't know. Facebook can be anything. So it's not fair to me to just accept you. So what I normally do is I always request all this. All these are in the join request, but most of you don't read and just join and write Mary Tan and never read below. Because I need to know your full name, your email address, your mobile. The reason is because I will use mobile to WhatsApp you. You just say you want to join. Then from there, I know whether you are from Singapore or from where. So to be fair to me, I know who you are. Better still, if you tell me you have attended my talk before, then at least I know you are interested in the same thing. And to do this, you can email me on this address, or you can submit it at this time you join this HarbourFront group, this community group.